Hello, Alan Reid here from Hart Square with Rob Gethen-Smith from Blackboard. Rob, we're delighted you're taking part in TechSmart. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well, yeah. Thanks for inviting me.
Terrific. All right, well, good to see you.
Yeah.
So, Blackboard is obviously one of the most established providers in the charity space.
Mm-hmm.
What trends are you seeing? What pressures are you seeing that your clients are under?
Yeah, in terms of the marketplace right now, I mean, it's kind of a mixed bag, really. I mean, it's a lot of challenge out there and also a lot of opportunity. I think on the challenge side, I mean, there's the ongoing growing divide between the largest charities and the smaller ones, and that gap is widening. And I think that's a real challenge for those charities that really need to sort of break out of that and have the resources to do so. But of course, underpinning that, there's been a huge amount of scrutiny on fundraising practices. I'm sure you're fully aware of that. There's the new fundraising regulator. There's proposals for a fundraising preference service to come in, which could completely cut out the ability for charities to actually contact their constituents and audience. And of course, we've got new data protection regulations coming in about a year's time as well. So it really is a challenging place right now. And on the IT side of things, there's a lot of large IT projects that aren't going so well. Which I'm sure we'll talk some more about in a minute. On the opportunity side though, hey, look, if you turn that around, then there's fantastic chance for organisations to really reframe their relationship with all the people that they're there to provide support to, and indeed people who are supporting them, and really start to build a more fundamental approach to building long-term relationships. Digital is maturing both inside organisations and outside in terms of driving efficiency and externally engaging with new audiences, and that's really changing the way organisations are sort of approaching what they do. And finally, I think technology is really helping organisations break down the traditional data silos and really beginning to help organisations draw together the data and systems that are going to drive their business model and future growth.
Okay, so charities are under different kinds of pressure, as you've alluded to. They're under pressure to provide more transparency in terms of how their funding is collected.
Absolutely.
And how it's used. There's a lot more pressure on the use of data and making sure that it's properly authorized, authenticated, suppressions are managed properly, that kind of thing. What are Blackboard doing to respond to that, to make that easier and less of a challenge for charities? Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, great question. I mean, probably we're doing three things right now. I mean, Blackboard has been around 35 years. You probably know that. It's entirely focused on the non-profit sector, and it plays increasingly a role in helping develop the capacity across that sector. So in terms of comms preferences, data protection, then three things. One is we're engaging in collaboration with other organisations to gain more clarity on what the European data protection laws mean for the sector, what the fundraising preference service is going to mean for how we work and how to grasp that. We really need a huge amount more clarity around things such as data enhancement activities and wealth screening. So we're playing a role in that. Secondly, our products. We need to make sure all of our products comply today, or they enable organisations to comply with regulations today. We need to make sure that we're right at the forefront, looking for the changes that are coming along, and we've got rapid turnarounds in terms of new product features that are not just going to make sure you can comply, but those products are incredibly usable for end users, supporters, but also the organisations.
Okay, and so you've mentioned changes within the sector. So something that would have been unthinkable 5 or 6 years ago is that charities, and a number of charities, are at least considering platform-based solutions, whether it's Salesforce, whether it's Microsoft Dynamics, in some cases CV, CRM. So what's Blackboard's response to that in the sector?
Well, I mean, listen, those platforms have a place. But ultimately, the way I look at it is that they're a big box of Lego bricks. And I love Lego. I'm sure you do too. I play with it all the time, and you can create, whatever you want out of Lego. Often the model may break, though. You may have to start again, and it could take a very long time to get to where you're going to get to. My real concern is that organisations considering to go down that route, they're totally underestimating both the capability required to do a proper job on adopting one of those solutions and building their own solution from that big box of Lego, but also the sheer resources required. Listen, I've got first-hand experience, having been on that side, being a CIO for a number of organizations. I've introduced these commercial platforms, and I can say firsthand that generally we've spent a lot more money and a lot more time trying to get it right. It is difficult to get right. You know, the alternative, I kind of, in my own, you know, I call this the DIY illusion, that it's possible, it is possible to, you know, build these solutions, but there's a lot of hidden pitfalls in doing so, and a long-term commitment.
But the reason that charities have considered these platforms is, I think it's a break from tradition. Traditional purchases of systems were very much focused on the fundraising team, the income management team. But now, of course, there are all of these other audiences. There are information consumers, there are senior managers, people who will not accept a minute's training when it comes to using this solution.
Yeah.
But of course, they want access to the data.
Yeah.
So how does Blackboard satisfy those audiences while still being able to satisfy what you were talking about earlier in terms of the dedicated charity areas?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. I mean, the world's really changing. You know, 10 years ago, the real challenge was around fundraising. That was the complex side of the organisation, and you know, the industry was quick to respond with solutions that were going to support organisations do that better. Organisations now, like you say, you know, operate in a complex environment, and they want to join things up. They generally, you know, and what I'm really seeing is organisations trying to join up both in really crude terms, where they raise their money and where they spend their money. So on terms of managing supporters, managing beneficiaries. And that's a really exciting area. And, you know, in terms of Blackboard's response, first and foremost, for our products, in terms of our next generation products, they're all built on modern, open, platforms that you could easily integrate. You know, I really don't see that it's Blackboard products or another product. It's Blackboard products and other products, and we need to make sure that we're playing as part of that enterprise architecture, and we, you know, all of our products are easy to integrate, and that's the case today. Secondly, you know, we develop a whole range of additional solutions, and on top of our core CRM offerings, eTapestry, Razor's Edge, and Enterprise CRM, there's a whole range of digital solutions to support peer-to-peer fundraising, payment processing, grant management, for instance, volunteer management. You know, so more and more we're offering, if you want to go down that route and you want to, you know, work with Blackboard as a partner, you can pretty much get to the point where you can do, you know, run your whole organization off Blackboard products. The third area is our enterprise CRM. You know, it's there to compete with the commercial platforms. It is fully open, scalable, and performs really well at volume, and it's there to be fully configured and personalized to whatever the organization wants to do. Out of the box, you know, you get all the features that the non-profit organization business model needs to run fundraising, marketing, and comms, and you can extend it to all the other areas of your organization. We've done a really good job at keeping Blackboard Enterprise CRM a secret, and that's going to change, right? That's going to change very soon. We've got about 15 large organizations in the UK and Europe using Blackboard CRM. There's over 150 globally.
Okay, so you're not pioneering if you're selecting it, even if you haven't.
It's been around, the product's been around 10 years. We just, you know, it's really coming of age now in terms of an open, flexible, scalable product that can really drive the whole operation in terms of customer constituent management.
Okay, so you're going to do more to get the word out about that.
Yeah.
You mentioned the Razor's Edge as well, or
NXT. Absolutely. Yeah.
There's still a lot of questions in the sector about that.
Mm-hmm.
I still get asked from time to time, isn't the Razor's Edge end of life? And I know you've discontinued that message. You know, that's not a message that Blackboard have had for a very long time. Yeah. There's still some confusion. What is the position with the Razor's Edge?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, as you know, Alan, Razor's Edge is the number one most successful fundraising platform of all time, you know, globally. In the UK, over 1,000 customers, globally tens of thousands of customers. Last year, we relaunched the new version of Razor's Edge called NXT, so Razor's Edge NXT. We've completely redesigned and rebuilt that product. It isn't a lick of paint on an old product. Is a really important message to get across. You know, we've based the redesign and rebuild on 35 years of experience in supporting fundraising, marketing and communication operations in the non-profit sector. You know, and fundamentally, the new architecture has been optimized for the cloud. So what you've got in Razor's Edge NXT is a fully optimized architected solution delivered as a service, so software as a service. We take away all the hosting worries from organizations. We provide that as a cloud solution. Really key, it comes with unlimited licenses as well. And that's really important, because if you take the modern, really quite exciting user interface, web-based interface, along with unlimited licenses, what we're immediately seeing when people adopt Razor's Edge NXT is a leap up in terms of the number of users actually accessing that system. So for those organizations that really want to harness data and information from right across their organization, it's the perfect sort of opportunity to do so.
Okay, so
like I say, since launching, we've got over 150 customers in the UK now using Razor's Edge NXT, and that's just in 1 year.
That's fantastic. Okay, so again, the word needs to get out there a little bit more in some organisations, at least, of what they're doing. So in terms of the Blackboard pyramid, then, so what I'm hearing is, well, maybe it's better for you to describe where different clients might fit in. Obviously, there's eTapestry and there's Enterprise CRM.
Yeah.
How does a customer choose where to go in the
I mean, sort of at the extremes, it's quite easy to explain that, but at the edges, it can possibly be quite fuzzy. So eTapestry is our entry-level CRM product. So generally speaking, organizations are moving off spreadsheets to move on to eTapestry. It can be up and running within a day. It's very easy to use, and it's going to support an organisation to the point where they're raising maybe £1 million or £2 million worth of revenue. If we're using revenue as a proxy for complexity in terms of the number of sort of revenue streams, if you sort of move up from there, you've got Razor's Edge, which we've just talked about, and Razor's Edge NXT, and that's going to carry you as an organisation some way. You're going to be raising £20 million a year quite comfortably. You could be fairly complex. Razor's Edge, 35 years, is the best tool out there for fundraisers. It can do everything, it's bulletproof, and it's well loved. The move up to Enterprise CRM then is, as we've already talked about, those organisations that are really thinking at that more strategic level. There's often beneficiaries, volunteers, campaigners, service users, fundraisers, supporters. There's broader constituents. And if an organisation really wants to harness the power of their data in a tool that out of the box is ready to use, generally speaking, when we implement Enterprise CRM, you have to customise less than 10% to meet the organisation's needs. We deliver it in under a year. We've got a tremendous track record of delivering Enterprise CRM. So those organisations that are just at that stage where they really want to begin to think around Enterprise CRM and what that means is the perfect tool to use.
Blackboard have got a TED talk at TechSmart this year. Are you delivering that personally as someone?
I will be.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
And have you taken a moment or two to think about what you might be?
I've
might be covering.
Never done a TED talk before, so I'm looking forward to it. So thank you for the opportunity. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of following on from the theme of what we've been talking about. For organisations right now, it's confusing. If you start with the wobbliness of the market, there's a lot of risk-averse people out there. It's confusing. There's a lot going on, and not least, you got IT projects that are bumping around and not completing, taking years and years and millions of pounds to complete, particularly on commercial platforms. There's a lot of nervousness out there. And I think the theme of my talk is really to help guide people through, if they're coming to market looking for an enterprise CRM solution, what are the options? What do they need to be thinking about? What due diligence do they need to be doing to help them think about what the right choice for the organisation is?
Great. Okay. I'm sure you'll get a lot of interest.
Good.
Rob, great to see you today, and really looking forward to seeing you at TechSmart. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Alan.
Thanks for your time.
Okay.